Welcome, everybody, to the Audaci-Tea, the podcast for women by women. We love y'all so much, our VIP team members. We have had such an influx this week in our Patreon community, and we're so grateful to have all of you there. But we want to give a special shout out to our brand new members. We've got Mariana, July Islander, Canada J, Christina, Char, and New York Mind. Let's give them a warm audience. Huzzah!
Thank y'all.
Thanks, y'all. And that's not including all of our, other tier members, our free members, our tip jar members. Thank y'all so very much. Y'all know if we were to read every name, I would be here for an hour. So thank you so much to those of you that are supporting us in any way, including being a member in any capacity, following us on the podcast, giving us 5-star reviews, following, liking, sharing, adding to playlists on Spotify, anything y'all can do to help with engagement, we would much appreciate, because it seems as though the algorithm is working and picking us up a little bit. So we're very excited, very thankful to y'all. Thank you again.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
And we are just thrilled to be speaking with y'all this week, even though the circumstances of today, the day on which we are recording, are, a little less than ideal. It's Monday, January 20th. We have just had a new president sworn in. So I guess let's spill some tea, right? Okay. A tough crowd. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's not an easy topic. And I just want to say that for our main segment today, we will be talking about empowerment versus liberation. It's a little bit of a philosophical question to dig into, but we'll give y'all all of our thoughts on that. But for now, let's get to the tea. And I think the most important tea that happened at the inauguration today was probably the Elon Musk double, I don't know if I can say this word on the podcast. Okay. The double Nazi salute.
I'm loving the sound effects. That's everything. Yeah, he did.
Oh, I'm laughing, but I want to cry.
Gosh, that's terrifying, though. The shame of us. We elected these people to represent our country. And the Germans, they can't even do that in their own country. Like, they get in big trouble if they even do it as a joke. But we're over here on a national platform to where the entire world is watching us. And this man, he's not even our president, but he likes to think of himself as, and he just did the salute. Like, oh my God, is that not terrifying for y'all? Or even like embarrassing? Like, we should be so embarrassed right now. The shame of us. I have no words.
I feel like...
Okay, I quit.
Oh my God, Sovereign, that was you? I thought it was producer Ryan doing the sound effects. That's amazing. You're doing the sound effects?
Yeah, I was just.
That's amazing. We need some for your. We'll need some for your new segment. We have a fuck around and find out segment coming up, so we're gonna need a little jingle for that.
We should.
We're gonna need a little sound effect for that.
Speaking of fuck around and find out, are y'all on Red Note at all?
No.
I do.
I
think I know what you're about to say, though.
Yeah.
I've been poking around the last couple of days. Go ahead, Gwen. Are you finna talk about the realization that a bunch of Americans have come to?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And also some Chinese people, too.
Yeah.
So I have two pen pals, and forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, from Chongqing, ChongQing, Chongqing. And they just kind of like ask me questions like harmless and wholesome. They're like, do Americans use iPhones? And is it true y'all work 2 jobs? And I'm like, girl, sometimes people work 3 jobs. Like, people are really out here just hustling. And we're comparing and contrasting like the cost of living in China versus America. And we're doing like a currency conversion rates. So like to them, like they have a lot more buying power than we do. And that's what Americans are finding out. Like the Chinese people, like they can survive off like $20 US a day. 20.
That's crazy.
Good. And Americans need to get ready for worse, because y'all think the Nazi salute is extremely very disturbing, right? Obviously. But I think they're doing a lot of these things in order to distract us and like just distract everybody from what they're really planning on doing, which is, I don't know I can think of the Russian expression in my head, but like skinning us like goats or whatever. Like, I don't know.
What?
Just take...
Theoretically, but then literally. I think I know what you mean.
Y'all, it's been a day, okay?
No, it was basically the grocery hauls.
Yes, I saw those too.
They can I forgot exactly what number it was, but I know here people were saying it's $200 for barely filling up your cart, and over there is like $20 or I can't remember, but it was a very low amount. And I remember thinking like, what? And then they were talking about somebody was talking about them at some of their jobs able to take naps. Like legally,
yeah, they can take naps at
their jobs, and
it's
like,
actually seen as them working hard if they have to nap at their job. It's like you worked so hard, you have to take a nap. Like that's a
correct,
good thing.
Yeah, and that they get like 2-hour breaks, so they can take 1 hour for lunch and then 1 hour to
Mind
nap.
you, their healthcare is free, education is free. I don't know about college, but that's probably free too, or
low
subsidized,
cost, or the government
very
will
low
help
cost. They have like birthing hostels or whatever. No, birthing. It's called a hospice, but it's not like for dying. It's for like, I know somebody that like traveled back from the US to have their baby. Because they get like 2 or 4 weeks stay like in the hospital where like somebody else basically takes care of your baby. Like you get them for breastfeeding and like skin time and stuff, but somebody's like changing their diapers, like you're getting massages, you're getting, I don't know, you're just getting the works like to recover, and like you have a night nurse and stuff, and that's all just like included.
Someone in the comment sections under one of those videos, and I'm trying to remember which video it was, but they said law school was less than $800 or something. I don't know how true that is, but
well, because why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't you want to invest in your citizens like that?
I agree.
Right.
Like I don't understand why college is not free here, but then I do, because they don't want people to be educated. They're going like the other route. You know, China's going one route, we're going a whole different route, and it's only getting worse. Like people here, it's like they can hold cognitive dissonance really, really well in their mind, as long as you tell them that whatever money they're losing, it's because capitalism needs to capitalism. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm not upset about losing my money anymore. Of course, the capitalists need to make money. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that? And they just immediately switch up. So it's like, what more can you say? Like, it doesn't matter.
It's just like people who justify having kids when they can't afford them. Oh, because the human race is going to go extinct. So I guess be fruitful and multiply, right? I guess, well, you know, I'm broke. I don't really have any money. But they said that we have to keep the population going. So I guess we just have to keep you know, it's just this mindset, this like mindless sheep following the herd type of mentality.
It reminds me also of that Christian mindset of like, his ways are not our ways. Like,
oh God.
Yeah, like the people in power, like they have to do things that we don't understand because they have to do them. And like
that's how they get their power.
Us small-minded, dumb people, like we could never, I remember talking to somebody about how like Elon Musk doesn't pay his taxes. And the guy was like, well, yeah, obviously, like why would he pay his taxes? I'm like, why do you pay yours? Like, do you have a choice? Exactly, crickets. Or like, why wouldn't he take subsidies? Like, that's just smart. And I'm like, okay, where are my subsidies? Why can't I have a subsidy? Why can't you have a subsidy? What if you want to start a new business? And it's just crickets, and you can see the wheel spinning, but then they just come up with some other reason to like worship the rich. And it's very disheartening. And this is exactly how
they came into power.
Yeah.
They're flipping through the Rolodex of Fox quotes in their head and trying to find one to like parrot and repeat. That's what's happening when they're quiet. They're going through that Rolodex of Fox quotes. That's what I call it.
Absolutely.
When President Musk did the wave, they were saying Piers Morgan was somewhere trying to figure out how to spin it or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he's always just like right up his ass. Like he excuses everything that they do. No matter how horrific.
Just slobbing on it. Gargling those gonads.
Oh my God.
Choking on it. Sitting and spinning on it.
Stop
Not
it.
sitting and spinning. Oh my God.
Sitting and spinning. Alrighty.
I was going to say the worst part is like they're probably not going to have to justify it anymore now that he came out and did it. I think it's just giving everybody permission, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think they're going to spin it at all. They're going to be like, yeah, well, he did what he did. I don't know if you could call it that. They're going to like plausible deniability. They're going to be like, no, he was talking about this comes from the heart. That's why he did it like that. It came from the heart.
I got a sense of relief, like, okay, now they probably feel like they can be themselves now because they're in and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yep.
That's the vibe I got.
Yep. I totally agree, Sovereign.
They're probably just going to have like no news coverage about that. Like there will be some independent news outlets that will report on it, but as far as like right-wing media goes, like just crickets. It ain't going to be nothing. They're just going to continue on business casual.
I do think it's hilarious that Trump brought TikTok back to like for everyone to watch the inauguration. And that is the only clip I've seen circulating around on TikTok from the inauguration. It's just that Nazi salute.
I didn't watch it.
Boy.
The one about the Gulf of America. Like he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America.
And you know what? It's like people do not study history here because what was the USSR if not this? Yeah. What was the USSR if not let's conquer all of our neighboring territories and we'll be like one big thing and we'll just oppress everybody? Okay. How did that work out? How are any of those countries doing now?
Exactly.
That's what's in your future, America. I'm so sorry. I hate that some people are going to have to live through this twice. And I hate that some of those same exact people voted for him. I really do. You can be that stupid. You can be that stupid. Absolutely.
Yeah. I actually have the 14 characteristics of fascism pulled up if y'all want
me
let's real quick.
Go ahead and read those real quick just so that we know where we're at.
This was done by political scientist Dr. Lawrence Britt. Recently wrote an article about fascism, and it's studying the fascist regimes of Hitler, Mussolini, Franco, Suharto, and Pinochet. And then Dr. Britt found they had all 14 elements in common. And this is what they are. Number 1, powerful and continuing nationalism. Number 2, disdain for the recognition of human rights. Number 3, identification of enemies/scapegoats as a unifying cause. Number 4, supremacy of the military. Number 5, rampant sexism. Number 6, controlled mass media. 7, obsession with national security. Wow. 8, religion and government are intertwined. And then 9, corporate power is protected. 10, labor power is suppressed. 11, disdain for intellectuals and the arts. 12, obsession with crime and punishment. 13, rampant cronyism and corruption. And then 14, fraudulent elections.
Oh, he all but admitted to that, by the way, too.
Right.
But all of these are starting to show up, and that's scary. We almost have all 14 of them. There are some that I could probably argue for or against that we have right now, but they're at least
it's
85% of the way. 90.
It's absolutely spot on. And I think that like a lot of these narcissistic, psychopathic types cannot help but tell on themselves, and I think that's why he tells on himself so much, because I think he can't help it. Like, I think he's proud of the fact that Elon Musk helped him win somehow, allegedly,
away with it.
According to his own words. Okay, I'm not saying that this happened. I'm saying Trump said that this happened, and he said that Elon is really good with these vote counting machines. Like, that's just too. It's giving that like dupers get delight, right?
I think by now they know that their fan base is a little susceptible, and so they kind of use that to their the best of their advantage to leverage that.
That was a very nice way of putting that, Gwen.
Yeah,
it's
being
very nice.
Gracious. Yeah,
generous assumption there. Yeah, but I think really it is true though, because like you talk to some of these like boomers, and being from Texas, like I'm surrounded by them. I'm like up to my neck in red voting boomers, and you ask them questions about, why did you vote for Trump when he's going to take your benefits away? And they just go off on some like tangent that just makes no sense, and it has no basis in the question.
Because they don't know because they know that they can't answer it without sounding like an idiot. That's just my own personal opinion. Because why would you do that? And then you're gonna be on then you're gonna be on TV or somewhere talking about, oh, my Social Security, I'm on a fixed income, and now they're getting rid of Social Security, and now I'm gonna get put out of my house.
Being
and this
I didn't think the leopards would eat my face.
This house has been in my family for generations, and now I'm about to lose it to foreclosure. Like, what did you expect was gonna happen? Like,
the capitalists gotta make you just gotta tell them that the capitalists gotta make money, and they'll understand. They'll be like, oh no, that's right, they did have to foreclose my house. You're so right. Like, of course, how else would they make money?
The capitalists got a capitalist.
They sure do.
They gotta do their capitalist thing. Mm-hmm. But no sympathy for me though. So I'm just saying. Zero sympathy. Zero sympathy.
I do also just want to say before we move on from our tea, because I'm sure that next week we're going to cover a lot more of, the executive orders that he signed today and like the implications of all that. But I do just want to say regarding the TikTok ban that lasted all of 5 minutes, I do just want to say that was definitely suspicious. And I want to say anyone who follows us on TikTok, please be sure that you follow us elsewhere, because I don't think that they're going to like us on this new algorithm very much. And I just want to say, I think it was all a big stunt. That's what it looks like, because I thought once it was going to go dark, like I thought that was going to be it, because I didn't think any self-respecting company would really do that. But turns out I was wrong, and that they're not a self-respecting company. So they did do that. They did play along with whatever little stunt Trump wanted to do. Mind you, he was the one that started the whole ban idea in the first place. He was the one that was like, we should ban it. So the fact that he's now getting credit for saving it is absolutely, as Sovereign would say, crazy work. It's that whole thing is just, and the fact that people kind of ate it up and bought it wholesale and was like, oh, at least Trump did something good for us. I promise you he didn't. I promise you're going to find out that he didn't. So we are back on TikTok. I mean, at least I am, very cautiously. I won't be very much censoring myself as to what I say on there. And so if you want like my real opinions and stuff, I think we're going to have to meet up here or on the YouTube or something, because
so for those of you who follow me and all my 101,000 fucking followers. I'm saying that because I'm angry, because y'all just won't go to YouTube. I want y'all to
oh yeah, screw you guys.
I want y'all to know, I'm telling y'all, I'm pretty much done with TikTok. So I just don't, I have my reasons, but I just don't see the point. I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think the creator fund is going to be the same. Just be prepared for that shit to be censored as fuck. Like,
it already
people
is.
thought it was censored before, but and what I mean censoring, what I mean is if y'all follow our type of content, you won't see our type of content. That's just this is just my own theory. I could be wrong about this, but like feminist women.
Oh yeah, we're nasty women.
Yeah, women who are preaching to women to be child free or child free women, or women who are liberated in some way.
All against
they're gonna shadow ban the shit out of it. Like y'all are not gonna see our content. That's just my belief.
The party of free speech is definitely
is gonna die or dead or whatever. That's what I believe. Now, if I'm proven wrong, then I may start back posting over there, but
I'll keep you updated.
But I don't think I'm wrong.
I'm gonna post cautiously and I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm like, we're gonna ride it out until the algorithm like completely changes, because I just want to see how many people I can bring over to the other platforms. And because we did work hard to build our TikTok following, and it's a shame that you try to get people over, but then your content that doesn't get shown to them, or they happen not to make it to a live or something. And like, I get it. It's just really difficult to mobilize people off of a platform and onto another platform. But
and why the hell is CapCut still down?
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to figure out. For those of you who don't know what CapCut is, it's just an editing app that, in my opinion, 90% of content creators seem to use.
Yep.
It's so easy, and it's just like it was a part of ByteDance. So anything that has to do with the parent company of TikTok, they took it away. But they haven't brought that one back. I don't know about Lemonade. Has anybody been on Lemonade? I haven't checked.
No, but I was upset about that too, because they're owned by the same company.
Yeah, they're all owned. Yeah.
They all, like, when the TikTok ban was kind of looming closer, it seemed like TikTok kind of pumped out this Lemonade thing to help people like stay in touch with their followers because it was really easy to get your followers like onto there.
That's what I was thinking.
And then you find out it's going to get banned if TikTok gets banned, or it's going to have to be bought out because they're trying to sell. I don't know what they're trying to do, but
I think they want America's portion of it, whatever that is. The 170, what is it? 175 million people on TikTok are in America,
which is half of America, by the way. That's crazy.
I'm mad. I'm actually
so
very disappointed in the guy. I can't think of his name right now, but I really thought in my mind, I'm like, he's not gonna fold. He's not gonna fold. He's not gonna fold.
Folded like a napkin.
Folded like a lawn chair, like a napkin.
Terrible. I don't know.
At least that's what it seems like. I don't know what deal they made, but
he took out CEO of TikTok out of his profile.
Did he?
Yeah.
So who the fuck is the CEO?
That's what I'm saying. I think that was one of the conditions, was like, we're going to figure that out, but right now you can't call yourself the CEO. And he was like, okay, sure.
The crazy part about it is, and this is just my own personal opinion really quickly, but I feel like America's version of TikTok is the most lit. But that's just my own personal opinion.
I agree.
But my point is did he really need us though? Like on a business, which I know y'all were saying 10% is a lot. But
it is a lot. Yes, I do think so.
I mean, because would TikTok go down if it's only 90%? That's what I'm saying.
No.
I don't know if I would have did it.
Absolutely not. But
all they're going to do is change it up. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the inner workings of what went on behind the scenes, but I just hate he folded, that's all.
Me too.
I would much rather see TikTok go away forever than for the government to get it. And I've been saying that for about a year. Like I'm 10 toes in it. Because we already know what the fuck they finna do to it. If y'all hate Facebook and y'all hate Instagram, y'all finna hate TikTok. Just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I think it's just going to slowly slide into that. Like, I think it's not going to be like an overnight thing. Because people were like, oh, my algorithm's not the same algorithm. It probably is a little different, but they told us that. They said is going to be, we're like resetting everything, your algorithm, like they warned us. I feel like I'm still seeing a lot of my mutuals on my algorithm. I feel like I'm not seeing any less radical content than I was before, to be honest. But some people were very quick to react and be like, oh, my algorithm's not the same. I don't think they've had any orders to change the algorithm at all. I do know you can't search certain things on there anymore, like fascism, or you can't get information anymore about the California wildfires.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like a glitch or if it's like...
They're not showing the protests.
They're not showing the
protests of the inauguration.
Oh, okay. So they're not showing those.
Yeah, they're all...
So maybe they did change the algorithm.
So there is a protest?
Yeah.
There were lots of protests.
To me, that was the whole point of them taking over it, is to change the algorithm. That's why they want it. They want to be able to censor it in that way. I just didn't think they would do it
so soon. I just thought like my For You page looked the same, but maybe like obviously not getting coverage of protests is concerning. So
yeah, but I know me, I don't follow that type of stuff on TikTok for the most part anyway. I follow like our type of content, funny videos, cat videos, stuff like that. Right. So I'm like, if you wasn't really watching too much of that before the so-called ban, you probably still won't get that stuff. I mean, but in my opinion, that was the whole reason why they wanted it.
Yes, I do think it's going to change. I just don't think it changed that much overnight. But maybe it did. I don't know. I hope I'm right, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, I don't know. I hope they didn't change it yet so that we can still try to get something out. But if they did, then I'm with you, Sovereign. There's no point in posting. But like I said, I'll keep you updated.
I think
we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna get the lady who talks to her cat and dresses her cats up in like the stuff.
Yes.
I should probably do content like that. Even though I don't have a cat. That way I could play it safe. That way,
Well, you got to get a cat.
I know.
Sovereign's just looking for any excuse to get a cat at this point. I
know.
Come on.
I'm going to wait, though.
Wait for one to choose you. It's more special.
That's true.
I agree.
The cat distribution system will definitely find you.
Y'all know about the cat distribution center?
Know and love.
Wow. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought only cat people knew about that.
I'm a cat person, just with no cats. I got
Same
two
here.
Stupid little dogs.
I'm still so chronically allergic to cats, but the closest to cats you can get is a pug. Seriously, because they're so
really?
well, some pugs are very cat-like. I've learned. Yes, my pug lady, she's very cat-like. I love her so much.
Does she do zoomies in the middle of the night?
Sometimes it just
Really?
depends. Like if something wakes her up, she thinks that it's the morning time and that she can get breakfast. So she'll do
definitely
zoomies
cat
around the kitchen to
behavior.
get breakfast, even though it'll be like 3:30 in the morning, and it'll be some neighbor coming home drunk, and she'll wake up and think that it must be 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock. Like, did we get my breakfast now? Breakfast time, and she'll just kind of bug me. But yeah, other than that, she's like such a sweetheart. I don't even have to put her on a leash. Like I just let her walk around with me, and she just is very happy-go-lucky, and everybody loves her, pets her, and she's all about that.
And you know what I'll say? I feel like girl dogs are just easier that way. I have 2 boy dogs, and one of them's a little easier. The other one's a hellion. And overall, I even remember like when we were looking for puppies and stuff, like girl puppies are always more expensive because they tend to be better mannered and they're easier to house train and potty train.
Why am I not surprised?
Exactly. That's the only reason I was bringing it up. I'm just saying, nature, does her thing. Anyway, all right, let's go to a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about empowerment versus liberation. And we're back. So let's share some thoughts on empowerment versus liberation. And I want to clarify that what we're talking about here is regarding women's rights, women's freedoms. I just think it's very important, especially for young women, to know that difference between empowerment and liberation. Empowerment is not always bad, but it doesn't always equal liberation. Mm-hmm. So we need to sort of learn to distinguish between the issues on both sides of that and know when empowerment is being sold to us as actually fake liberation.
I remember listening to the FDS podcast like years and years ago, and I don't remember if it was Lilith or Ro who was talking about this very same subject, but they had some thoughts on that have just stuck with me ever since, and I'm just going to go ahead and share with y'all what I remember about that conversation. But basically what they were saying was that like empowerment was such like an individualistic term. Like what empowers some women will not empower us as a whole. And if the goal of feminism is to benefit all women, then empowerment should just be nullified or like a thing of the past, just because like it's not what's propelling us forward. Because if we're all just like only thinking about ourselves and not how we're going to help women here and abroad, then like what are we doing? And so that's kind of like stuck with me, that empowerment is an individualistic term and liberation is like a more monolithic term that kind of encapsulate what feminism used to be about. It used to be about liberating women from the shackles of being with a man for either like financial reasons, because that was back when they couldn't get their own bank account, their own credit card, or even like get their own Ivy League degrees or anything of that nature to kind of like place themselves more independently. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that it can be used in different ways too. Like it can be used from like different angles to gaslight women in different ways, if that makes sense. Like a lot of, for example, like conservative viewpoints, it'll be like, oh, women are not empowered by working and stuff because when they come home, they still have to do like a whole nother job. And that's why women shouldn't work. And it's like, yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. Like it's not empowering for women to choose the trad wife lifestyle over going to work and taking care of kids, because it doesn't actually liberate them to do one or either of those things well. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like we're going to be in the age of this Trump administration, we're going to mostly be dealing with that kind of empowerment versus liberation thinking. Like it can come from a whole nother side of the political aisle too. It's not always that boss babe, liberated, like sexually kind of empowerment. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, women are not empowered by going into the office and working under fluorescent lights. Like they're just girls. They shouldn't have to do that. And it's like, oh, okay, that's the wrong kind of empowerment. Like you're empowering women to take a step backwards because life is too hard.
When I think about liberation versus empowerment, the first thing that comes to mind is Samantha Jones from Sex and the City, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people would say she's liberated, and then people would respond and say she's not liberated. She was just a whore. Being a whore doesn't make you liberated. That's been the that's been the common like thought process about her. She's my favorite character. To me,
she is the best character.
She was the best character,
the only character on that show,
because she was liberated and empowered. And I wouldn't say she was liberated because she slept around or whatever.
No,
she was liberated because she did not make men the center of her life. Like she had fun with them. She knew how to use them if she needed to, but she had her own career. She was very self-confident. She didn't care what too many people thought about her. She was a good friend, right? That's what made her liberated and empowered at the same time. So
she chose herself.
Think of her. She always chose herself when it was all said and done. And of course, society would try to make you think, oh, she's a selfish bitch. But I would rather be a selfish bitch than to be somebody that everybody gets to walk over. But I wouldn't even consider her that, by the way. But I'm just saying she's somebody who knew her worth, and she just didn't settle for less. So it wasn't about the sleeping with men or whatever, which in my opinion, she could do what she want to do. I mean, if that's what a woman, if that's empowerment to her, then she's empowered. Because I look at it like every woman's definition of empowerment may look a little different. But either way, as long as any woman is doing what she wants to do with her life, she's able to make her own way for whatever, you know what I mean? Yep. To me, that is what's empowering. That's what empowerment is to me. Whatever it is to an individual woman. So there's a lot of women that, will say, well, Charlotte, and I'm just using her as an example too. Charlotte was empowered because she was very classy, and she carried herself like a lady, and she was very love and marriage oriented and family oriented. And she was empowered as well to some degree because that's what was important to her, and she stuck by her guns as well. Do you get what I mean? Even though they were two different people, but I still feel like Samantha was.
I was gonna say I feel like Samantha
was still the best.
It worked out. It worked out better for Samantha because both times, in my opinion, and I'm gonna get heat for this, and I don't care. Both times that Charlotte married, I think she settled.
Oh, she absolutely settled.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
For the man, not for, as far as like the comforts and stuff. Like I love that she, negotiated her worth in the, prenup and everything like that. That was cool. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, Troy was kind of the worst. He's definitely wasn't like the love of her life or anything like that.
He was addicted to porn, wasn't he? Like he had to have like the Jugs magazine or whatever it was. To do the baby.
Yes, I remember watching that
her
and
first
being
husband.
like,
no, Trey.
Yeah. Trey, sorry.
Trey, yeah.
I kept calling him Troy. Oh my goodness.
I was sitting there like, who the fuck is
I only watched Sex and the City for the first time like less than a year ago. Okay. And I was horrified. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
I know. A moment of silence for our millennial sisters out there who took that as like a Bible or like some way of like guiding them,
like dating advice field. Or whatever.
Oh my God, our sisters were so lost.
Who was y'all? I already know what y'all finna say.
What?
Who was the worst character?
Carrie.
Yes.
Obviously.
By far.
Oh my God.
It's the friend that just won't stop going through a canon event. Like, it's done. It's done, Carrie. The canon event is over. And she just won't stop going back to it. I remember, no, I actually am not going to say the thing that I wanted to say about the monkey eating its own poop and then vomiting it back up and then eating it back up. But that's exactly how
I know.
Watching Carrie with Big makes me feel. It's like you already dumped this man. You hate this man. And then you're like, oh, no, but Big, he called me. Oh, he's with another girl. Like, good, let him.
He married another girl, and then she was still obsessing. And she went to that woman's house
and slept with him.
Their house together.
So good. There's no excuse for Carrie. Never be a Carrie. If you ever catch yourself acting like a Carrie, you're being a pick-me. Stop. There's not one thing that she ever did right in that show. I can stand on that. Except for when she asked to get her shoes reimbursed or something, that's fine. But then it's kind of just let it go if the people are being that anyway. whatever. I do not like her. But I'm going to say that Charlotte, even her second husband, I think she settled because in the movie,
definitely.
she was worried about him like looking at a babysitter or something. And then she was relieved when they found out the babysitter is a lesbian because now it's okay. Why was it okay when your like gross old husband was like, you know, looking at her lustfully? Like, why was it okay then? Like, now you're not worried because she's gay, like because she's not into him? I don't know. I think you got bigger problems, girl.
Yeah, and word to the wise, the women being gay don't mean anything, in my opinion.
It really don't.
And I'm only saying that because every stud or just about every stud that I know ended up pregnant somehow. So I'm just saying. Sometimes you can be safe with, she's a lesbian, she's not into you. Most of the time, you're not. So
also, you can't always.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, men also sometimes don't ask. Do you know what I mean? What I'm getting at? Like, you're putting that young woman in danger at that point. If the only reason you're no longer worried about your husband putting moves on her is because she's lesbian.
That don't change nothing about how he feels.
Yeah, you got to worry about your husband a little more.
Yeah, to a man, a woman is a woman. They don't really care how she dresses or whatever. That's still a woman to them.
Also, a lot of them don't believe in lesbianism. They really just think that they have the magic cock that's going to change the lesbian's mind. And they literally just think like, you just haven't had the right magic cock. And what if mine is, you know, the one that will turn you straight?
That's
like,
exactly
it's insane.
True.
The entitlement is so insane. And I follow a lot of lesbians on my Twitter, and that's exactly what they talk about. Yeah. It's just the objectification that I think has just come from just being been brainwashed by porn. And yeah, absolutely. And all of this, to bring this back to like empowerment versus liberation, I just feel like this is why we can't talk about empowerment, like you said, both of you said, you know, in monolithic terms, like for all women, right? Because some people are going to say, but Charlotte's second marriage worked out for her. Not in my opinion. Sure, they, you know, people like that might still be married, but you shouldn't look at their marriage as a, you know, symbol of something necessarily good. A lot of people will say, we've been married 25 years, but divorce is not an option. That's why we're still married. Like, okay, how is that empowering? How is that empowering for anybody, you know? And a lot of these, you know, right-wing influencers will try to change a lot of young women's mind about this. This is where I'm coming at it from because we're entering this era. You know, I know that we have a lot to be mad about with liberated, sexually boss babe 50-50 feminism, but I just want to like say a little spiel about they're going to change their tune and they're going to say that women don't need to be working 40 hours a week in an office and then coming home and taking care of babies. And when are you going to have a family if you're working in an office? You're just a girl. You just need a man to take care of you. You just need a man to pay all of your bills. And then you'll be empowered to start a family and to do the right, you know, the purpose that you were made for.
Don't fall for it.
Don't fall for it.
Do not fall for it.
And also the whole, like, I'm just a girl. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence that whole thing started happening after this version of feminism, quote unquote, has come out of like, you know, you should be more empowered and lucky to not have a job and to be a mom and raise these kids and be a birther like you were, you know, put on this earth to do, you know, be fruitful and multiply. Like, I really think that those two together are not coincidences. I really do think like that this version of quote unquote feminism is a psychological operation by the right wingers to condition women out of this version of like quote unquote boss babe feminism is what I like to call liberal feminists.
Yeah. So the game is to get young women to live like they did in the 50s and before. That's the bottom line. And what that means is you're not going to have rights. You're not going to have rights over your own body. You're not going to have any money. Your husband can come home and go oops upside your head all day, every day, and you won't be able to escape. That's all it is. They want y'all to go back to where you don't have any choices. The man can cheat on you. He can beat you. He can belittle you all he wants. And you can't go anywhere because you don't have the funds. You don't have the resources. You don't have friends. He's alienated you from your family. That's it. That's the game. They're not going to package it that way, but that's what it's going to end up being. And hopefully the smart women who are now awake know what this is and don't fall for it. I feel bad for the rest of y'all, though, who are gonna, you know, say, we're jealous, we're hating on you, we're bitter.
We're hags, we're past
we're
our
old
prime.
hags, and we hit the wall.
Yeah.
And so we already know what a lot, and y'all are going to be the ones that fall for this. And like I always say on my videos, the ones we hear about on the news. And I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of where it's headed if you fall for that game.
Absolutely. Because the worst thing that can happen if you're like working and taking care of kids is you will have your own money and the means to leave.
Yep.
Right. So it's kind of like if the world is offering you those two choices, I can see why one would be easier to make, but you have to stay realistic. You have to understand that nobody's coming to save you except for you. Especially not a man. Especially not a man.
Definitely
and he may
not a
try,
man.
but it may be out of his control too. And I always say that. Like, yeah, there are some good men. Because, people are always going to come back and say, well, why? Yeah, not all men, and why are you married? Da, da, da. Yeah, but I'm also very well aware that like people walk outside and get hit by a car like every day. Like people get into car accidents. People have, illnesses that happen to them. You can't pretend like none of that's ever going to happen to you. And it might not. But it's always good to have your own money. Like I know they're going to try to dissuade women away from this. And they're going to have, the worst part is they're going to have good reasons to. Because yeah, they're right. Women should not be coming home after working a 40-hour job to a useless husband at home and a baby at home and all this kind of stuff and having to do 40 more hours of work. I completely agree. There's nothing to disagree with. But at the same time, we as women have to understand we've been given a raw deal. We have to ask for more. Don't just choose from the options you're being given. There's so much you can ask for. We can ask for free daycare. We can ask for, women to be paid, given stipends for having kids like every month. Like if it is a job and if you don't want to do two jobs, then yeah, your government should be paying you to have a kid or, et cetera. There's so many different things that you can ask for rather than asking for all women to take a step back from the workforce.
And there's just a whole bunch of us that ain't finna do that shit no matter what. I don't care how they package it. Well, lucky for me, I'm edging closer and closer to menopause and stuff. So I wouldn't have to worry about that. Right. I mean, I don't know how much for 10 years or I don't know. But the point is that a long time, in a while, that's not going to be my problem. But a lot of women are not finna fall for this. And we're just here to try to get y'all to really critically think about their end goal is create future worker bees to work for Jeff Bezos. That's the end. Yep. That's the end goal. Capitalism can't capitalism without participants. And us giving birth to more and more future tax slaves, that accomplishes their goal. But does it really accomplish yours if you are going to be broke and struggling and having a hard time surviving in life? So you just have to think about, as an empowered woman, you have the option, you have the choice to decide for yourself. Do I want to make decisions that's going to make my life harder than it has to be? Or do I want to make decisions that keep me at a place of like peace of mind and ease? You can rest in your femininity taking care of yourself. Because I wouldn't be able to rest in my femininity if I was dependent on a man. Like completely dependent on a man, I wouldn't be able to rest. I don't know how women even do that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Your what was it? What did we say last time? Your ability to feed yourself and your kids lies solely on if that man is still attracted to you or not.
Oh, yes.
And the moment he's not, and we know, they tell y'all all the time, most men are only as faithful as their options. Most men are visual. Most men are this. Boys are going to be boys. Men are going to men, right? So you know it's only a matter of time in many cases before guys with they wandering eyes and start, being attracted to Barbara and HR.
And you know what that is?
Yeah. I'm just saying, you never know. And it's not to say that that's going to happen every single time, but in case it does, you have your own money, resources, ways to take care of your kids, whether that man comes around and does his job or not, whether he leaves or not. And that's what I would consider to be women's empowerment. Like you are responsible for your own happiness, your own health, your own life, and maybe your kids until they get of a certain age or whatever. But you're not responsible for no man, and they're not responsible for you. And society is going to paint that picture.
That.
They know it.
I was going to say.
That's why they run off so much. That's why so many of them, they have no problem just walking away and starting over with somebody else.
And you know what that is? That's male liberation. They're liberated to do that. They're not just empowered, though. They're liberated. They're free, scot-free to do any of that.
Yep.
for their own happiness. So always keep that in mind, because men feel very liberated to do whatever it is they need to do in order to be the happiest, most free version of themselves that they want to be. And if you or your kids start getting too much in the way of that, that's exactly what they're going to choose. They're never going to choose you.
Never.
No, not if you're really laying it, like preventing them from experiencing happiness. And if they have the option to leave, they literally will leave 99% of the time. 99% of the time, a man's not going to stick around when it's really, really difficult. And we know this because women in oncology, centers get prepared for that. When they receive a cancer diagnosis, the doctor also
nurses
tells
will
them.
pull them to the side, and let you know. Female nurses will pull you to the side and let you know, like, there is a chance your husband may or may not, stick around. Do you have, the resources necessary to be able to take care of yourself from here on out?
So don't ever not all men me, No.
We learned that in nursing school. That was crazy. They taught us that in nursing school.
I did 2 semesters of nursing as well, and on that second semester they did kind of do what's called like a bedside manner class, and that was one of the points that they made in the bedside manner class, is that there are things that we tell women that we just don't tell men in the medical field, and that's one of them.
That's horrible. Or just how many men will feel totally normal pressuring their wife into sex at the hospital where she has just given birth.
Yes.
A lot of nurses talk about that. I've seen a woman talk about she gave birth 6 weeks ago and now she's 5 weeks pregnant. Like it was some funny joke. And I'm like, your husband hates you if he did that. I'm sorry, but he hates you. I don't even care if you were on your knees begging for it. He should have been like, no, good for you, but no. Like you have a dinner plate sized wound in your uterus. Like, what am I going to be doing in there? You know what I mean? Right? Sovereign, do they not like sovereign?
But it's so true.
It is true. That's what I've heard it described as.
Oh my God.
You're not wrong.
It's probably not the proper term, but
we're not here to be proper ladies. We're horrible women.
We're horrible, nasty women, but I know we're just it. And I wonder what liberation could even truly look like for women. Like there's things I wonder about that, like ethically, that, it does us no good to really talk about it in like, how can we deal with this right now? But I wonder if like in a truly liberated world, if sex work would exist as a need for like men, you know what I mean? If like women really were given every choice in the world, how many women would choose that? I just wonder, because that to me feels like one of those empowerment things rather than liberation things. And that's one of the ways that we've been kind of sold this like, harsh reality of sometimes the only way for you to make money as a woman is that.
I always think about, kind of off subject, but not really. I always think about how women would be able to just go outside at 2:00 in the morning and like nothing will happen.
Just go for a run. Have your headphones on, not worry.
We don't have to. It doesn't matter what we have on or anything.
There was that trend on Twitter that is like, they asked the question, what would the world look like if there were no men? And all the women came together and were in the comments saying like, I would be able to go for a run whenever I wanted with headphones on and my titties out and just be able, that's liberation. Literally. In my opinion.
Exactly. That's the only place to build liberation from. Totally.
Literally.
I so agree.
But Free the Nipple is very on the nose for like liberal feminism, and I don't know if that's truly productive. But in terms of like liberation,
maybe it would be if there wasn't any men there to try to like either sexualize it or ruin it or try to take it over in some way. It probably would. I mean, because if you really think about it, would we need clothes in general? If all of the, I'm just saying.
I mean,
like,
probably for sanitary reasons, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like we could definitely do a lot more with clothes than we currently can. I mean, I know girls in like New York City, they have to have like a subway outfit so that they don't get harassed or
they
worse.
Put like a bathrobe on.
Yeah, they put like big coats on, they put big t-shirts on, and then when they actually get to where they're going, they can take that stuff off and like show up and they're dressed to their nines. But they can't do that when men are around unsupervised, because there have been instances of full-on rape on the New York Metro where people just watched.
Oh, I know. That's
crazy. Women on fire. There was a woman on fire.
I saw that.
Yeah, a man lit a sleeping homeless woman on fire. Yeah. And the police, the Metro police or whoever was on scene that was like, could be responsible for that, they just watched. And these men watch a woman burn alive. That is the society we are living in, and that terrifies me.
And
to no end.
Someone did a background on the homeless woman, and they said that she was in corporate or something like that. Something happened. She got her house foreclosed on because she lost her job or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but basically she was us and just hit hard times. Do you get what I mean? Because I always feel
there's
like,
no social safety net in this country.
Yeah,
That's
really
why we
isn't.
can't talk about liberation. It's like, this is why a lot of women get forced into, sex work.
That type
this
of
is
stuff.
why, because or living with a man, or like moving in with a man too quickly, and like then you're kind of trapped or whatever. It's because women are the first to get fired, the first to get laid off. They're not taken as seriously in the workplace. They're not promoted as high. So we have a lot of things working against us. And until we fix those things, it's really, really, really difficult to talk about liberation, because liberation feels like a very dangerous game to play. Like even Samantha Jones, if she wasn't rich and powerful and beautiful and all that, she would have been playing a very dangerous game. And she still was. I still was worried about Samantha every time she would go, have casual sex, because I'd be okay, that's cool. I'm so happy for you, babe. Like, get yours. But like, please be safe, Yeah. Do you have a gun?
Right, I know. Right.
I think she did have a gun in her purse.
Oh, see, there you go. But, it's the fact that you have to do that. It's why we talk about empowerment, because we can't talk about liberation because we don't want to come together and admit that this world our society creates unsafe conditions for women. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a society. Like, women would leave. I'm telling you, women's liberation would just be women leaving. Like, if women really had a whole lot of choice, I feel like the first thing that a lot of women would do is they would leave and just take a couple years to like chill by ourselves. I'm so serious.
That's what I thought would be like considered separatism instead of just like, more radical or liberated feminism. It's just women going their own way. WGTOW, women going their own way.
But even just getting back to Samantha really quickly. So even if a woman wanted to have a lot of casual sex with whoever. Even, and this is, if these men were normal people, you wouldn't want to hurt the woman who wants to fuck you.
Right.
Like, why do you want, okay, how you hear about the guys that are like, she was a whore, so I slit her throat, or I fucked her and I threw her body in the river. Like, why? I don't understand. But that
like,
just
you make such a good point. That's the point.
It's like, why are y'all like that? The woman wants to sleep with you. You shouldn't want to harm her or hurt her. It should be an even exchange. And for the most part, for Samantha in the show, it was, for the most part. The guys were not like trying to slit her throat.
She wasn't dealing with Dusties.
I know.
She was always getting something out of it besides sex. She was fucking like lawyers.
Yes.
And is that what it was?
Very powerful rich men.
I think so. You never seen
and she
her.
She worked for like a PR firm or something like that. So the men that she slept with, it always benefited either her career or benefited her in other ways besides her career. So she was always getting something out of it besides just like casual sex.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, even like, I just don't understand why they have to be this way. Like, why would you want to hurt a woman just because she found you attractive?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we can't even start talking about liberation, because this is how society is trained. Like, society is trained to be predatory towards women at every angle. And not just from men, but from like corporations, right? They charge us the pink tax.
Yeah.
They don't provide free childcare. They don't provide health care for women. Women no longer have a choice of what to do with their own bodies. And all of that is, frankly, I would call it animalistic behavior, but we're worse. We're worse. It's like demonic behavior. It's like animals figure their shit out, right? The ones that are not helpful, there's going to be less of them. We talk about this all the time. In nature, there are rules. In nature, if you're not helpful, you get gone. But in real life,
worse than dogs.
Yeah. But in real life,
let me explain this real quick.
Please.
Like, dogs, for puppies and even for like puppy mills, there's laws for this. You cannot separate the puppy from the mother until it has been fully weaned off. Like, it has been at least, I think, what is it, two and a half months? 8 weeks, yeah. So it's 2 months. Women, do you know how much time they get off for their maternity leave?
6 weeks.
Barely.
Well, paid is 0 days, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyone listening outside of America that doesn't know this, America does not have to provide mothers paid maternity leave. That is not a law, and most companies and most people choose to not.
Yep.
Humans, we get 6 weeks, and then dogs, they get 8 weeks time with their pups. Like that's insane to me. Like we are treated worse than dogs for real in America, girl. Like that drives
Anyone
that
that's ever tried
radicalized
going
me.
to the police after sexual assault also knows exactly how women are treated.
What were you
and
wearing?
what kind of questions they're asked, what kind of blame is being placed on them. I'll never get over in the, Jeffrey Epstein case when they referred to 14-year-old girls as prostitutes. And that's why they didn't take their,
Yeah.
complaints seriously. And they
I
were
forgot
like,
about that.
oh yeah, that's a 14-year-old prostitute. Like, wait, what? Say that again. Say that
Or
one
young
more
women.
time really slowly. What is that? That's a minor.
Exactly.
That's a minor. That's not a 14-year-old prostitute. That is a minor being forced into doing stuff that she doesn't want to do. But the male police over in, Florida or wherever this was happening in that rich neighborhood, they were like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. This man here, he should be able to work from home instead of like serving his sentence in prison.
It really makes you think about, and I was thinking about your video earlier that I watched about how we've never infantilized girls, but we've always done that with boys. So it's always very interesting how girls mature faster than boys,
Quote unquote.
according to their stats or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're held to these high ass standards because we know better and we have to do better and we have to carry ourselves a certain way. But somehow we are not seen as the leaders, the natural leaders. Somehow we need to be kept out of these big positions in society or at these corporations. It's just such a it's such a double standard.
Bottom line is, if you're talking about empowerment, then you should already know that you're not liberated. Like, you can only be empowered when there's like other circumstances at hand that's making you powerless. Why do you need to be empowered? For what? If you don't have freedom and liberty to do whatever you want, then you need to be empowered. Does that make sense? Like, empowerment to me already sounds like a Band-Aid. It already sounds like, oh, we need to empower these women. Well, why? Oh, because society keeps them down. Okay, why don't we just remove that part, right?
Yeah. Remove the keeping down part. Like let women free.
Yes.
I wonder how we got here. Do y'all remember like learning in history class, or if you had, feminist history, women who fought like tooth and claw for the right to be able to vote, number one, to be able to separate from their husbands, number two, and number three, to be able to, have their own sort of like source of income. Because like women were always working. Don't ever misconstrue that. Women were always working. We just were not getting paid. None of these jobs women had were paid very much or paid at all. And so then finally, during World War II, and the Lucy Riveter was like, we can do it. And then we got women in these factories to start, help doing like what, originally men were doing in these manufacturing jobs.
Turned out to not be that hard.
Yeah, literally.
Right.
And so yeah, and then those were like some of the first jobs that some of these women had where they were getting paid as much as a man, or I think even still like some of it, they were, still getting paid less, but for the majority, I think they were getting paid a lot more than they were for their previous jobs, which would have been like admin work or, child rearing, like helping run it like a daycare center. This was, paying them more. And so then finally they were, angry enough to start demanding more for themselves. And I just think that, looking back on that version of history and that version of feminism, I don't know how we got to, this version of feminism.
I do. Can I tell you? Can I get on my other soapbox real quick? Because I know exactly how we got there. All of those women were white, and they did not want to work together with the black women in order to accomplish these things. The first suffragettes, and that's why we stay divided. That's why we stay empowered instead of liberated, because white women have the option of, we either choose to align with our whiteness or we choose to align with being a woman.
Yep.
And a lot of white women choose the other thing.
Yeah.
And so when the suffragettes were first marching on the Capitol, they were asked by the black women that fought alongside them that,
Was it Ida B. Wells?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. And she asked Susan B. Anthony whether they could march with them on the Capitol. And Susan B. Anthony said, we can either have a white procession or a black procession or no procession at all. And that was her answer. And that, in my opinion, I know there's going to be some people are not going to like hearing this, but I don't care, because we need to address that first and foremost. The reason that feminism is fucked up today is because we've never practiced intersectional feminism in this country. So
I agree 100%.
And that's why we're still stuck in the mud, because a lot of women think they can just align themselves with whiteness and the patriarchy and be spared the consequences. And by the time they figure out that that's not true, it's too late. And we go through generations and generations of women just like this.
They just demonstrated it again with the Trump election.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Women were supposed to be sticking together and we were supposed to be having each other's back, and then they still chose to align with their whiteness, which hey, you have every right to do that. But
Absolutely.
the next time the next big thing happens, I'm fully confident that the vast majority of Black women won't be participating. There's always going to be a couple of them. But it's not going to be enough to make a difference, because we're just at that place where we're done. We're done.
The social contract's broken.
Yeah, and it can't be fixed. Not in this lifetime.
And it's gonna make things,
maybe in the year 3000. I don't know. We'll be long.
And it's gonna make
it's
gonna make things worse for everybody, because that's what selfishness does. Like, it makes other people not want to cooperate with you. And I would never blame Black women, like, because they're, heartbreakingly, even when they step back and make this point, they're still gonna be the ones that are the worst affected by the consequences of white women's votes.
That's true.
And white women saving their own ass, by being like, oh, well, I'm going to align myself with Trump and power and trad wife lifestyle, and I'm going to be spared. I'm not going to be like those liberated women, go working 2 jobs and 3 jobs and dying alone with their cats. Like, yeah, babe, you're going to be worse. Wait till you see what's in your future, my love. Like, oh my God.
When that man leaves you for a 20-year-old and during his midlife crisis. You know what, I was looking at something today where they were talking about 50% of the men who voted for Trump are all divorced or have been divorced men. And there was like some kind of a correlation.
There is a correlation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to do a video about that earlier, but I ended up doing it.
Elon Musk being the king of divorced dads.
But this time, I think this last time, since are you considered a millennial? I don't know. I'm a millennial. So the millennials and the Gen Z, Black women, we're a different breed. So all of that kumbaya, stick together stuff was for the Gen Xers and the silent generation and the boomers or whatever. We ain't finna. We tried one more again, as we used to call it. We tried it one more again. That was this election was it. So yeah.
And honestly, this will probably get us closer to true feminism than anything else ever will. Because like when people haven't experienced consequences, that's the only thing that's going to work. This is how I feel about Americans voting Trump in again. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. You guys think he's like a grenade. You're going to throw him in the White House and, at least something's going to happen, right? Because Biden's been sitting there, the whole time sitting on his pen. He couldn't find it to sign any orders or any give anybody back anything. And then Trump is going to be like, oh, here's the pen, and sign a bunch of executive orders. And they think that in itself is a good thing. And it's like, no, you're going to find out. You're going to find out what kind of thing it is, but you haven't yet. Like you're naive as a country because
stay tuned for the find out segment.
Exactly.
Right.
Because especially the white people, right? It's always been that we vote and like good things happen for us and the results are very democratic and we live in this, there's all these guardrails, right? Once again, for white people. I'm not even saying that the whole country is like this, but this is why a lot of them are shocked and they're like, oh, how did this happen? How did this happen? You're sharing the country with some Yes.
You have
that. Yes, that. And there's also like a lot of like politeness, like, that kind of, again, this ties back to white supremacy, but like that politeness, right? Of like, well, I'm not going to talk to my relatives about this because, I still love them and like we're still relatives or like we're all still like living in the same country and stuff. So I'm not going to address this. Like people are going to get over that.
Yeah.
Once the real shit starts happening, Americans are going to have to learn to get over it and really start being honest with each other. And I feel like, for white women, Black women, this is all going to come to a head at some point, and white women are going to have to give way because Black women have done way too much to just be constantly like, put aside. Like we need to realize the power that they've always had to help. And like sometimes the only way you're going to realize is by withholding it. And again, to anybody that has a problem with it, like we think about men in the same way. Like white women, if you struggle hearing this, I'm sorry, but hear it anyway.
I'm not.
This is the only thing that worked with, the protests in Finland or Iceland or wherever it was. Women had to remove themselves themselves. And when they remove themselves even for 12 hours, things all of a sudden, they got a higher pay, they got more maternity leave, etc. We have to remove ourselves.
So what they did was something called lysistrata, where they just stopped having sex with their men, and they also removed themselves from their corporate sectors and even their domestic sectors, where they just all but like just stopped working. They completely, put a halt to everything that they've contributed to their economy. And then I think they held that position for at least a week before it took the government to like come to their knees and like begging them, what is it going to take for y'all to like go back to business as usual? And then that's when they were able to make their demands. And now they have like one of the higher rates of like satisfaction in that part of their country for women, because they were able to eliminate their pay gap like, basically overnight.
The problem I see is that there are some white women who have done their work. So like the same way women have to deprogram their minds about men and decenter men and then reprogram it with updated information. There's a lot of white women that has to do the same thing. The problem is I don't think they will, no matter what, because they're always going to choose being in proximity to power, aka their whiteness, over coming together. So like if we were all trying to come together and say, let's fight for free childcare. Remember that video you did, Lisa, about how, what was it called? The spirits are watching or something like that?
Oh yeah, the monitoring spirits.
The monitoring spirits, yeah. Wait, I was way off.
No, you were very close. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, but you were
watching.
saying how, generally speaking, the average white woman their mindset operates in a place of lack, like being better than or having something, and comparing other races of people, Black women, Mexican women, whatever, to them in a way of what we have access to and what they don't. And that's how they define their superiority or something along those lines.
Started in the Jim Crow days. Yeah, when you could just pay more to go to an all-white pool or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's where it stems from, and people don't realize that, and that's why it's extra effed up, because nobody talks about this stuff in schools and where it all really started. But that's why white people feel so uncomfortable with like Black people in their spaces sometimes, and they're like watching, and they're like, wait, what are they doing here?
Because it's like we're not supposed... We're not supposed to be in these places. Who are we to be in these places? Or it's just like the whole idea of the country club, exactly. The whole way that was kind of started. But the problem is even though there will always be white women who are like, women are women, we all need to come together and let's vote for free childcare, for an example. There's always going to be those women that are going to be like, nah, yes, a part of me wants to do it, but I'm not, because it's going to mean that they get free childcare? No. So I would rather not get free childcare than if it means they have to get it. I'd rather just not get it. So they would like literally hurt themselves and keep themselves from getting something just to make sure we don't get it.
And this is so true, and it works on an even bigger scale. Like I was ranting about this today earlier to my husband, because I was like, this country's like hatred of Black women is literally preventing them from class consciousness, because how are you going to talk about a welfare queen when Elon Musk is right there? Like you're going to talk about, you know what I mean? Somebody using food stamps.
And Wall Street.
Right? When Elon Musk.
Getting all those bailouts.
Donald Trump, all of Wall Street is standing right there. But because this country is deeply, at its roots, very racist, the problem is the Black single mother who is getting, $200 in food stamps every month. That's the problem. Give me my 10 cents back on my taxes. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you help a people like that? Like, what do you say?
Nothing.
I don't blame anybody for giving up. Me as a white woman, like we can't, but like I could never look sideways at a Black woman right now for being like, no, F all of this. I'm looking out for me and me only, and don't come to me with like, hey, we all need to get together and get on a Zoom call for Kamala and da-da-da. Some white women even have the nerve to be like, well, what more do you want us to do? We've done all this. And like when Black women came to them and said, hey, white women, like don't slow down. Like, this is good, but we can do better. And white women were like, haven't we done enough?
We made these blue bracelets.
Like, babe, you're doing this for yourself. You're not doing this. Like,
oh, God.
This is why only empowerment is an option. We live in shackles, like all of us, but especially like, the people that are really trying to make a difference. It like doesn't matter. And it's so discouraging and so disheartening. So I don't blame, I just can't blame them for being like, nope, we're opting out.
You know, the crazy part is, as a Black woman, I understand. I feel like I understand why a lot of white people or white women are like that. So as far as like white privilege, I remember I had this conversation with some girls that I used to work with. I think I'm going to do a video about this, so I'm not going to get too much into detail. But they asked me if I believe in white privilege. And my answer shocked them, I guess, because they were having conversations before I came into it. Like I was walking in the break room and they were already knee deep in this conversation. Mm-hmm. And they asked me, they was like, do you believe in white privilege? And so I'm looking like, what the hell did I just walk into, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, for the most part, I only believe in white privilege for rich white people. Ooh. And the women... It was like 3 white ladies and it was 4 of them and 3 Black women. And one of them was walking out one Black girl was walking out as I was walking in because she had an attitude. So then it was 4 of them and 3 of us. And I don't think they were, what I gathered was the Black women were saying, it is white privilege and y'all don't understand what it's like to be Black and blah, 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 blah. But when I got in there, I was like, I mean, only if you're like rich. And so I could tell they were getting upset. And I'm like, they asked me to explain it. And I was like, if you have access to money, like real money, like, so you're rich, like millionaire rich, or maybe you're not millionaire rich, but your dad plays golf with the governor, or your uncle is a chief of police. You could have some kind of privilege in that way because you can get away with stuff. But I'm like, that's, to me, if that's not your case, then I don't really see that as white privilege. And I was like, I was working in a nursing home at the time. And I was like, so we're taking care of the same old white people, Black people. There was a few Chinese people there. Like, we're taking care of the same people. We're like changing diapers, cleaning the same, like... Mm-hmm. Poopy diapers of the elderly. There is no way you could think that you would have higher privilege over me. We're making the same amount of money per hour. We're doing the exact same job. So to me, I don't see that as any privilege. The most privilege you may have over me in this scenario is that you may get hired for this low-paying, dead-end job over me. But I don't really see the privilege. And I wasn't saying that to be funny. They asked me what I thought, and I really gave them that thought. But I think because of white supremacy in this country and the way this country was founded, every white person is not going to be rich and privileged. So when you think of the ones that are considered quote unquote poor, they feel like I'm not rich, so all I have is my whiteness. So I have to feel like I'm better than Black people, Mexican people, Asian people, whatever, because I know I'm not Elon Musk or I'm not Bill Gates or Donald Trump, whatever, but I'm still white. I got my whiteness. So so now I'm going to vote for Trump and I'm going to vote.
I was going to say, it's like, it's not even actual privilege. It's just, it's something you tell yourself to make yourself feel better. I like that. That's a very nuanced and good point.
And that's how I've always seen it. And it's like, I get it. So a part of me, and that's the part of me that can't even be mad at them for that. Because, I can't really explain it, but I just don't. The way a lot of Black people that I know in my family and friends and people I grew up around feel about about white people in particular, I don't feel that way because I see it from that lens. It's like I wish they would realize that we're really all in the same boat. Mm-hmm. If you're not rich, then we're all in the same boat, and to a certain degree, right? I wish everybody could come together and work together in that way, but I understand why they're not, because to them that's all they have. So it's like, and I can't fault too many white women for not wanting to give up their proximity to power, because I wonder sometimes if the tables were turned, would we want to give up our proximity to power to help other people? I feel like I would. I feel like me being in power would give me the confidence to help other people, like having it. It's kind of like if I won the lottery, what I would do and help all these people and start organizations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I feel like just Black people in general, a lot of us would still just being women, how we would, right? We would. I
wonder if that's because of your lived experience, though. Like,
what do you mean?
Well, like right now, like you're saying that, but if you were always taught to be like entitled and like
that's what I'm saying,
entitled no matter what, right. It's like you're not even thinking like, oh, me giving something up would help other people. A lot of white people again are just thinking out of lack. They're like,
lack. That's exactly it.
Yeah, because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've heard so many people like, I guess well-meaning, like very passionate about it, white people that are like, well, I grew up in a trailer park and I had nothing. And like, I had like, okay, so you have more common ground. Like, why are you being like, oh, so this movement, like this BLM movement is like taking something from me? Like, no, it's actually not. It would actually help you because it helps people that we are acknowledging have been marginalized by what?
Right.
By poverty. So that by itself would include trailer parks. It would include poor white people because we're talking about poverty. Like, oh my God, it's so exhausting to try and explain that. Because then on top of that, it's like you probably haven't had to worry about, honestly, some scary trailer park white people also thinking that they're better than you and that, like George Zimmerman or something, they need to like take you out, be enact harm towards you because they feel threatened. Like you haven't had to deal with that because of your skin color. So it like on so many levels, the argument doesn't make sense of like, well, white people are poor too. Like, okay, yes, that's common ground. That's not a saying like we need help too. Yeah, that's what we're all saying.
I think they're just conditioned. Growing up in rural Louisiana, surrounded by people who live in less than houses, I'll say, they're kind of like in their own little like echo chamber of people who are, they think that, well, if I don't have anything, at least I have my whiteness. And they kind of operate on that,
and this is my country.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's just like, but also the ones that I used to know in Lake Charles, like they hated the police too. Like they were redneck. Like they souped up their cars and went super fast. And then they were running from the cops. Why were we running from the cops? Because fuck them, that's why. And why were we outlaws? And it's that whole thing of like, that pre 9/11 sense of republicanism is just, it's gone. It's completely gone. Now it's just this whole bootlicking cop worshipping and version of redneck and version of this radicalized form of rural dwellers. And so
sorry, I'm still laughing at what you...
What?
Less than houses.
How did
Not
you know?
There's anything wrong with that, by the way.
How did you know?
I've made it my job, Sovereign.
I'm sorry, I've never heard that before.
I was gonna get her. I was like, that's a good one.
That is so funny. I have never, ever, ever heard that before. That is so funny. I think
that would be my...
Gwen has
I'm gonna start saying that.
I love them.
Oh my God.
That's at least like 15 years worth of being in customer service, and you're kind of more naturally censored, I guess, too, and hesitant to say, what really is what it is. So
I love that.
And that comes out sometimes in my works or like in my podcast, and people are like, "Don't you mean just like trailers? Like just say trailers." And I'm like, because I don't want to be derogatory. I know. Because I know some nice people who live in trailers.
For sure.
I don't like saying it either, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But it's still funny to way.
Less than houses. Oh my God, y'all. Okay, we got to wrap it up. But this was such a good discussion. I hope that all of our listeners will let us know their thoughts. Sovereign is cracking up. We got her good, you guys. And she actually has a segment. She has a segment coming up that we promised y'all, a brand new segment instead of the mailbag. So today we have a special Fuck Around and Find Out with Sovereign segment coming up after the break.
That's actually good.
Yeah, wait, go ahead and do that again.
Look, we'll have Gwen sing the Fuck Around Find Out song, and then
I'd love to.
Oh, I was just playing. Okay, go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
then we'll join in if you want us to.
Let's fuck around. Come on, grab your friends. We're going to a very find out land. With Lisa, the host, and Sovereign, our segmenter. We're going to read these sad stories out. Come on, it's find out time.
Hey.
I love it. So, there's a viral video that's been going around of a young lady who claims that she got tricked into having a third baby, even though she told her boyfriend or baby daddy she already had 2 kids. It wasn't hard to have the 2 kids, but she knew it would be very hard if she had a third kid. So she didn't want any. So apparently he was tracking her ovulation and...
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
It's not funny. Sorry.
That's creepy.
But she lays all this out in her video. She's basically saying he tracked her ovulation. He knew that she didn't want to have any more babies. And she ended up getting pregnant and she kept it. And then she got on social media and complained about it. And people were letting her have it because she didn't take any accountability. And I know that we in this space, the women in this space, we hate the accountability word only because, not because we don't want to take accountability, but because it's been used against us so much by Red Pill. Mm-hmm. So I don't want any woman to think that I'm using it, taking accountability the way the Red Pill uses it. This, when we say men need to hold each other accountable, this is women holding other women accountable. Mm-hmm. So this is not, we don't want any input from a man. This is like women. Like we huddling together and we're talking to each other like big sister, little sister, auntie, niece, right? Mm-hmm. So
we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah. So I always have to make that disclaimer because a lot of times people are like, oh, you're victim blaming or you sound like a Red Pill guy. And it's like, no, we do know that we have to hold each other accountable, right? So I did a video about this earlier and, I was just basically saying that women are the ones who have the power to decide who's born and who's not born. And it just is what it is. We have that power. We have that gift. She didn't take any accountability because she clearly wasn't on birth control. She made a statement and she's like, and I know some of y'all gonna say, you should have used a condom and you should have this. Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. That's what she said. No. So, and I felt sorry for her because I understand that she was getting attacked. Right. I took that as she was getting attacked and she was just trying to like clap back at the people attacking her. So that didn't bother me. But what did bother me was, okay, you could have been on birth control or you could have been using condoms or you could have made sure. It's creepy that a man is following your ovulation and you don't want to have a baby by him. Like, this whole thing just irritated the shit out of me.
You cannot put your life in a man's hands like that. It'll never mean as much to him as it does to you.
Never.
Pregnancy, childbirth, all of that, all of those are very distant experiences for men. It's the same way that you try to, describe your period to a man. Like, you can't. You can't describe a
never gonna get it
to a man. Even those cramp simulators, like, they're not quite the same from what I've heard. And so it's like you're trying to put your life in the hands of somebody who will never care that much about like every little thing that you're going to have to go through and deal with, and they can walk out of your life at any time. It's just not a good idea. Like, objectively, it's not a good idea.
I totally agree. But the way that you take accountability for situations like this, and I this is one of the red flags that I want women to look out for. A man who's pushing your boundaries is a red flag. If you tell a man, I don't want this or I'm not ready for this right now, and he's constantly pushing you, he's constantly trying to talk you into something or talk you out of something, that's a red flag in and of itself. Yes. Because she was trying to make it seem like there was no signs. She didn't know he was there. And I'm like, no, those are signs. He was pushing your boundaries. And I hate that she allowed him to do this because she has the final say. But she was saying it like she didn't really have a choice. And women always have a choice. We always have a choice. And that mindset that she has, if you guys go back and watch that, you'll see like the vibe I got was she will be on baby number 4 in no time. Mm-hmm. Just because she's not taking any accountability. It's everybody else's fault. If you can't look inward and see where I messed up, where I missed the red flags, how did I allow this to happen? You're going to find yourself in the same situation because you have not learned from your mistake. I try to give her grace because I think she's probably in her early 20s. She seems young.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, so, she doesn't know anything. I mean, it just really boils down to she doesn't really understand how things work.
Men can be very convincing too.
Absolutely, especially at that age. And especially if you're like one of those women that's looking for love or looking, I don't know her whole backstory or anything, but I can kind of tell she's probably just been manipulated. And, but even in those cases, this is why we like to have these conversations because y'all got people out here telling y'all. So you women that are like 17, 19, 22, well, I didn't have a sister, I didn't have my mom, me and my mom wasn't close. Y'all be on social media.
we're out here. And
we're out here.
Also, you're telling me you listen to a man over women? Like a man said, I'll take care of it. I'll watch your ovulation cycle for you. Like, how? How, sir?
Famous last words.
Famous last words. And how are you going to trust a man to do something that women, like your own people, are telling you not to do? Like women are like, this is a bad idea, but you're going to trust a man. It's only because you're young. And men can be very, very convincing. I'll give you guys another Russian expression that goes like this. They will hang spaghetti on your ears. You know, like they're talking to you, and the next thing you know, all your ears are full of spaghetti and nothing has been said. Like you end up looking like a fool because that's how these men will talk to you, right? Until that baby comes along, they're all, oh, baby, I'm here for you. Oh, you know, it's okay. You got pregnant. That's okay. I'm ready to be a dad. I'm ready to do this and that. And then 1 week into that baby being home, they're like, this is too much responsibility. You're no fun anymore. You never want to have sex anymore. I don't want to do this. This is not what I thought it'd be like. What'd you think it was going to be like? Rainbows and butterflies?
Right.
That's what men think is going to be like. So as a woman, I'm so sorry, you cannot afford. This is why we talk about, you know, liberation versus empowerment. The things you're empowered to do in this situation is get on birth control, use a condom, do not trust a man who's pushing your boundaries. Like Sovereign said, if a man is like, oh, I'll do anything but use birth control. I'll watch your ovulation cycle as long as I don't have to wear a condom. Just remember, he's not going to be the one pregnant.
Yes.
He's not going to be the one giving birth. It doesn't effing matter what he says. Nobody's coming to save you, especially not that man. Not the whole of the internet is not going to come to save you after you make a bad decision. And I hate to say that as a woman because as a man, you can count on that. You absolutely can. You can go on the internet as a man and be like, a woman baby trapped me. And everyone will be like, oh,
she's such a whore.
She's such a whore.
Yeah.
And like, how
you
dare
poor
she?
baby.
And now you're going to be paying child support and da-da-da. First of all, wouldn't be paying child support if you actually saw the kid. Number one thing. Let's get that right out of the way.
Exactly.
Number two, oh, she's preventing me from seeing them. Over 90% of fathers are granted, you know, custody if they ask.
If they want
Most of y'all don't ask.
Yep.
And I mean, that's... like, I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm just saying, like, men do not have your own best interests at heart. They have their own best interests at heart. And they'll say all this, and then they'll be like, you're the one that baby trapped me because you weren't on birth control. How was I supposed to watch your cycle and do all this? Like, I got enough to think about. They don't care about you like that.
Yeah. They only care about what you can do for them. And typically, unless you have come across a man who actually cares about you for real, like a brother or an uncle or a dad, typically any advice you get from a man is almost always going to be advice that benefits the man, not you. And guys be on code with this as well. So you could be talking to a complete stranger who don't know nothing about your boyfriend, never seen him before, never met him, but you're asking him for some advice. I promise you the advice he give you is going to be whatever benefits your boyfriend, not
Absolutely.
you. Because that's just how men operate. They're always on bro code. Yeah. So please know that you are the ladies, who have control over your own womb. So far, we don't know what's going to happen.
Not even in every state. Yeah, but
I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, we decide who comes here and who doesn't. These men will leave you all alone with your kids. No matter if that man sticks around or not, that's your baby. You're going to be responsible for that baby. No matter what decision that man makes, you are going to be the one stuck with that baby or those kids or whatever. So please take accountability. Be empowered by being on birth control. I know birth control doesn't work for everybody. I know this for a fact. I know everybody's body don't respond to that, but you can also use condoms. You can not have sex around the time you're ovulating. I'm not saying just that.
It's perfect. Also, men are not entitled to come in your vagina. I'm so sorry I have to say it like that. They're not entitled to that. You can get off in so many other ways that are just as fun, just as whatever. He should be happy anyone's touching his dick anyway. He's going to tell you where he wants to do it and how.
Facts.
Sir, you should be happy. Anyone is looking at that thing.
Absolutely.
So, that makes me really mad because as a woman, you know, the hard truth is that when a man fucks around, you find out. Okay? That's what you need to remember.
I love that.
Because when you let him fuck around with your, you know, cycle, tracking your cycle, he's just fucking around. Who got to find out?
Crickets.
That is bars.
Thank you.
Men will fuck around, but ladies, you will find it. I love that.
That's so
That should
true.
go on a t-shirt.
We have so many merch ideas.
I know
Yay.
we do. Oh my God, I love that. But that is so true. I know there's a lot of women out there, younger ladies, who are afraid to stand up to men, afraid to, initiate the use of condoms. And I understand that, but you have to understand that this is your life, this is your health, this is your body. Yeah. These men, generally speaking, don't care about nothing except their own pleasure. Yes. That is it. They will ruin their marriages. They will lose their jobs over their peen. Think about all the guys out there who has lost their family, lost high-paying jobs, all because they couldn't keep their dick in their pants. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't care about you like that. And I'm not saying that you are never going to find a man to care about you. But one of the ways you can tell right off the bat is if you are saying, I'm not ready to have a baby right now, or I don't want any kids, period. And that man is trying to have sex with you with no condom. That's all the evidence you need. Mm-hmm. Right then and there. Mm-hmm. And especially if he's giving you shit about it, you have to be an advocate for your own health, for your own life. Because these men will screw you and then ghost you. And then you'll never hear from him again. And you don't know he left you with a baby, left you with a disease, left you with whatever. They will move right on. They do not care. So you have to be the biggest advocate and the biggest cheerleader for your own life. And if you're afraid to initiate a man not doing certain things in the bedroom or telling him no or initiating condoms, you probably shouldn't be having sex. You probably shouldn't be dating because you don't have the confidence or the right mindset to be engaging in those activities. Go to school, work on your paint, your whatever art stuff you doing or whatever it is you like to do. Focus on that until you get to a place where you can stand firm and be firm with guys. I'm trying to tell you, stop caring about what they think. Stop caring about, I want him to like me. If he's going to like you, he's going to respect your wishes. If he doesn't respect your wishes, he don't like you. That's it. That's all you need to know moving forward. But that is how you take accountability, is you stand firm in what you want. Don't put yourself in situations where it's going to make your life, before you make a decision, like having babies and all that, ask yourself, is my life going to be harder next year or in 5 years? Is this going to help me get to my goal? Is it going to slow me down? Ask yourself those questions and be honest with yourself. You will save yourself a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of strife if you just sit with yourself. If you just sit with yourself and have these conversations. Don't let no man come in your life, because these men come into your life 9 times out of 10. They came up to you at the gas station, or they came up to you at a birthday party or at a nightclub or at Walmart. Don't let these men come into your life and then determine what they like and what they don't like and what they want in a woman. Absolutely not. If it is not in line with who you already are or what you want, to hell with them. And you got to have the confidence to keep firm, keep that mindset. But that's all I got to say on that.
Ryan, we might need to put this out on a Sunday because that was a sermon. I feel like I just went to church. I'm fired up. I'm fired up. I hope someone's listening on a Sunday, one of our VIPT subscribers.
I know, right? That's funny. Thank you.
Because y'all have just been blessed. Sovereign, thank you so much. What an amazing way to finish off an amazing segment. I love that, we're kind of coming together as women and, protecting each other in this way. And I feel like this goes really well with our theme of empowerment versus liberation. Obviously, we have to work within the confines of empowerment. And this is how you do that. This is how you play your cards right as a woman. So if you need to, go back right now. I don't know how long that little part at the end was and listen to that shit again. Listen to it again and again until you really understand it and are willing to live by it, because that's the canon event. That's the canon event, I'm telling you. So thank you, Sovereign. I think does anybody have a recommendation this week?
I recommend that everyone who's listening rate the show.
Oh, that's a great recommendation.
And leave comments and we will respond to you.
I recommend the Tea app. So y'all know those sites or groups that are on Facebook or social media where it's name of the city, are we dating the same guy?
Yeah.
Oh, uh-huh.
Now it's available in app form. Ooh. And this app is called T. It's just literally TEA on the
It's
App
not
Store.
Sovereign running.
I'm running.
And so you type in the name of like your city, and then all these men pop up. Or even you can type the name of a man and then plus the city you live in.
Amazing.
And if there's T on this guy, you will find it. And
Women
it even
are
goes as far as
amazing.
doing
I love
like
this.
background checks.
Who did this?
Wow. I just know
Yeah.
a woman did. I just know.
Oh
women.
yeah, it was women. This was all like crowdsourced by women. So that's why I
You
highly,
see,
highly,
we
highly
always have
recommend
to
it.
evolve and
I
like
love this.
away
Already.
from our predators. Like, look at this. The fact that these kinds of things exist should tell you, like, be careful around men. The fact that this app exists, like, let that be your warning. All right. If you're young, if you're just starting out dating, this is the truth right here.
I figured a lot of our listeners are in the dating world now, so
Yeah.
this is worth it for them.
I'm reading the little disclaimer thingy. It says, everything is anonymous. Screenshots are impossible. All women are verified. You can access all posts across the entire nation. You can search all posts in the country by a man's name. You can set alerts for a man's name. We donate 10%.
There's a man sweating somewhere right now. The one man listening to this podcast is sweating.
We donate 10% to the domestic violence hotline. That's what it says on the very
It's
first
an amazing
page.
app. I'm glad I found it.
Oh, wow. How did you find this? Run background checks.
Gwen, this is a
criminal checks?
great recommendation.
It
Very
was.
helpful. I love that like our recommendations can be anything from like a book to YouTube video to an app. Like we're so versatile.
Yes.
And we'll put a link to both the Google and Apple store in the show notes to that app, ladies. So look no further than the show notes. We got you.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you for the sermon earlier, Sovereign.
A sovereign sermon. Like we should rename that
Oh, God.
segment. I feel like, oh my goodness.
That's
that
actually not
just-
bad. A sermon,
Right.
Sermon. Oh, wow. I actually like that. Gwen. I really like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's perfect.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us. If you're still here, we love you so much. And we hope that you are able to share this podcast with some friends. We hope that you're already on the Patreon, the Audaci-Tea Patreon. We're exactly the same name on there as is our podcast name. So just search it up and it should come right up. It'll be in the show notes as well. And we hope to see as many of you there as possible to keep this amazing discussion going. Gwen's been posting some really incredible blogs. I write blogs in there sometimes as well. This is Lisa speaking. So please check it out. We're putting a lot of work into the community and would love to see you there. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yay, we did it.